Comic Book Pro, the creator of Batman, okay, the writer, prolific Batman writer Chuck Dixon, explains why manga is wiping the floor with American comics. I keep saying it again and again and again. Even an expert, even a veteran for decades, Chuck Dixon, who has worked on comics like Batman, for God's sakes, he himself is saying that manga is wiping the floor with American comics. And he is going to explain to us why. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Hello, guys. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell right there so that you can get notifications every time I upload a video. Okay? Enjoy. What is up, guys? This is your boy Andy Matrix. Welcome to Andy Arts TV, where I talk about anime, movies, video games, geek culture, and Japanese culture. So you are probably wondering, who the heck is Chuck Dixon? Okay, so I'm here at Bounding Into Comics, and of course, it says prolific Batman writer Chuck Dixon. So I went to Wikipedia because, of course, you know I read more manga than comic books. I mean, I haven't read comic books in a long time. But Chuck Dixon, I mean, besides like Mark Miller, I don't really know about a lot of other people in the comic book industry. So I went to Wikipedia and looked up Chuck Dixon, right here. Chuck Dixon. And these are the comics that he's worked on. I mean, he has a huge catalog of things, a huge library of things he has worked on. Okay? From Bungo Comics, Dark Horse, DC, Marvel, IDW Publishing First Comics, Moonstone. I mean, he's worked on Conan, Batman, Superman, Detective Comics, he's Nightwing, Robin, what else? G.I. Joe, Alien, Legion, The Punisher, Conan. He has worked on so much crap over the years, man. Over the years. He has worked on like almost for every major comic book company. And even the Daily Wire. If you guys ever watch Ben Shapiro ranting on YouTube, Ben Shapiro owns the Daily Wire, right? So he says Batman writer slams American comics as too political. He says explains Japanese manga market domination. And here they go again talking about Chuck Dixon. So we're gonna read here why Chuck Dixon believes that manga is wiping the floor with comics. So first he says, so they asked him a question. It says, what is your theory, thoughts on why manga is wiping the floor with American comics? Dixon's answer said, it's not too hard to figure out, really. There's a lot of dedication, passion, and craft in manga comics. And that's missing almost entirely from the big two. When he says the big two, he's talking about Marvel and DC. He elaborated, Marvel and DC still run the store here. They still are the market leaders, and unfortunately, there is no variety there. There's nothing really different. There's not something for everyone the way there is in manga, you know? Right? Says Dixon then touted the artwork in manga. Said the artwork in manga is not hard to see. The artwork is attractive. Sorry, guys, there was like an interruption. So Dixon then touted the artwork in manga is absolutely attractive. The artwork in manga is attractive. I mean, manga has always been attractive. Look at the covers. Look at the book covers, for God's sake. It says it's different, it's engaging, it's interesting, it's varied. There's a lot of reasons to like manga, right? I mean, look at the Chainsaw Man manga cover. It's absolutely beautiful. And then he says, and not a whole lot of reasons to like what's out now. Because what's out now for the big two, Marvel and DC, is for the most part poorly crafted. There's few exceptions, but for the most part, it's poorly crafted, poorly conceived. There's an obvious political agenda to everything. Oh my goodness! Even he said it. Even the man himself said it. There's an obvious political agenda to everything, and there's no variety. There's no variety. Even he agrees that there's a political agenda. All right, it says Dixon then expanded on the variety Japanese manga has, and he says in Japanese manga there's a golf comics. There's not one comic about golf. There's multiple comics about. There's multiple manga about golf, right? He continues, and I've made references to these videos to one of the favorite manga is about fishing. It's just about fishing. It's not about vampires fishing on another planet or witches fishing or fishing after a zombie apocalypse. This is about guys fishing, surf casting or in whatever. Fishing from boats, fishing on the shore, fishing from the banks of rivers. And the stories are fascinating, beautifully drawn, beautifully realized. It's true. I mean, manga has so many categories. Okay, so even manga, manga does have superhero. There's superhero manga like My Hero Academia, One Punch Man. There's vampire manga. There's action manga. There's thriller manga. Like Black Lagoon is a thriller manga inspired by American action movies. Okay, excuse me. There's comedy manga. There's sports. There are sports manga. Okay, there's romance manga. Okay, of all kinds. And if you're interested, there's LGBT manga too. Okay, there's that. There is something for everybody. There's so many categories as opposed to the American comic books. There's, whenever people think about American comics, the first thing that comes to mind is superheroes. Poof, that's it. When you think about manga, manga is so many things. It's not just Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. Manga is Love Hina, DNA, what's out now? Sailor Moon, Rent a Girlfriend, Usagi-chan. Manga is so many things. It's not just action. It's not just action manga. Right? And then he contrasted with American comics. He says, but here, what do we get? We get superheroes and poorly done superheroes. There really isn't anything else on the mainstream companies. It's superheroes, and they are all avatars for the writing political agenda, and they're kind of tiresome. They're not particularly well drawn. They're not particularly well realized. That Dixon then questioned, why would you want to read this crap if you had a choice of reading a genre that you preferred it to be horror, mystery, espionage, golf? And there's only one flavor in American comics. Of course, Japanese comics, Japanese manga are going to win the day. He went on to say the biggest problem here is that all I see American comic book creators do, the people in the mainstream do, is complain about manga. Well, don't you want to learn from manga? Don't you want to look at what manga is doing and do that? If you can't beat them, learn from them. If you cannot beat them, learn from them, for God's sakes. See, here's a romance manga. Ore-sama Teacher. See, this is good. See, that's the thing about manga. Manga has something for boys and girls. In American comic books, it's mainly the superhero stuff, which is primarily aimed at boys. Manga has a whole bunch of categories. Right here, if you like romance, here you go. Odysee, I never heard of this one, but I can tell you one that I used to watch when I was a kid. Love Hina is one of my favorite. Ayori Yoshi, Girls Bravo. There's comedy ones like Golden Boy. Oh my God. Golden Boy. There is so many categories. So he's definitely right. And then he goes on to say, he says, Dixon then offered a solution for American comics to compete. And I bet you nobody's listening. He says, I don't mean to draw people with huge eyes and in speed lines. So in other words, he's saying you don't have to draw exactly like manga. He says, I mean, do more varied stories. Do more complex stories. Put more effort into the artwork. Put more effort into the craft. Change the format, for God's sakes. Stop doing the little folio comics and look what manga does. These big fat telephone books. Comics released weekly. Okay? Things like that. Just change the formula. Look what manga is doing. Why is manga successful? Try to copy that. However, he hedged. Of course, if they try to copy it just like they did in the 90s here in the United States, they just get it all wrong. They don't know what they are doing, and they have no interest. They have no interest. Exactly. It says they're just going to complain about it. It says as if that's going to get them any more readers. And that's exactly what they do. A lot of these comic book pros, they're just complaining. Who was it? The creator of Power Girl was complaining about Manga. That Manga has so many, that Manga has so many girls with like, with big boobs and revealing too much. But that's exactly what he did when he created Power Girl. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and then Dixon then lamented, says, so it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs, but everybody saw it coming. It had to happen. There has to be winners. There has to be losers. As the American comic book sales fall, something has to replace it, and manga is right there. It's popular. I know my kids know kids who read manga. They don't know anybody who reads American comics. Woo! This is good, man. This is real good. And then he says, and the kids that my kids know who read manga are just casual readers. They're not fans. They're not geeks. They're not going to conventions. They just like reading manga. They like reading it on their phone. They like reading it on books. There you go. I don't see the mainstream, the big two, Marvel and DC, ever catching up. Although there are alternatives, he concluded. And that is it, man. That is it. The man Dixon, Chuck Dixon himself, a comic book professional, bashing the American comic book industry. Man, it doesn't get any better than this. What is up, everybody? Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can receive new future notifications. Check out the blog at ndrtv.com. Follow me on Twitter. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave your thoughts or anything you want to say right below this video in the comments below. This is Andy Matrix. Thank you for watching. Godspeed, everybody. Godspeed.